Good morning, traders. It is Friday, July 13th. Friday the 13th, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the market today. Not that it means anything, but it's people always have these things with Friday the 13th. Anyways, take a look at the charts. We've got the long-term weekly chart of the US dollar index. You can see we've had this nice run up, mini bull flag, and we started to break out yesterday. Now, if we zoom into this chart and go to a 4-hour chart, we can see the breakout of this previous high right back here. You can see how we've just broken above that, and now we've been flagging, really just letting the resistance, the overhead supply that steps in once you break that level. It's just putting a little bit of pressure on it. We're seeing a nice little bull flag still in the US dollar index. And of course, we've just seen bull flag after bull flag on this thing. See a run up, pause, run up, pause, run up, pause. Started to have a little bit of a reversal here, and then we've had a nice run out with the breakout yesterday, and now we're getting a little bit of a pause, which is still bullish and still pointing to another surge higher. If it can start to make a move up here from this bull flag, then we could see it really pick up speed here to the upper level, which is the 86, 87 area, which is way up there, and it could trigger some pretty good selling, which I've been talking about for a while. And yesterday I mentioned that this breakout level that we had right across here, going back to the previous high back there, the question is, can we hold this level for a couple days? If we can hold this level for a couple days, hold it today, which is a key day. It's Friday. It's the closing bar price on a weekly chart, which is what a lot of longer term investors focus on. If the dollar can hold up Friday, then we could see a pretty nice move up in the US dollar next week, with money moving into it, anticipating a big move to the upside. And that could last several weeks, and that will attract some pretty big money into the US dollar and really try and hold up the value. So today's closing price on the US dollar is going to be pretty important, and it'll play a pretty big role in what happens next week to stocks and commodities. If it ends up rolling over and giving back this line in the sand here and closes below it, then next week we might actually see the US dollar actually start to retreat and have a bit of a correction, while stocks and commodities bottom and continue start to bounce. So anyways, looking at the chart, just zooming in a little bit closer to the 60-minute, because a lot of things hinge off the US dollar index. I find if you can time the US dollar index, you can time the rest of the market fairly well. And you can see where we are now. Just looking at this chart, we've had a nice surge up back here and a nice controlled pullback, just multi-wave pullback down into support. Had a little bit of a bounce, shook people out, and then started to put its bottoms in and start to make higher lows and higher highs. And now we've had this breakout and run, and now we're seeing a nice controlled pullback again. Just looking at the time frame, pretty much we didn't see a bottom kick in for one full trading session, 24 hours. And just looking at the time here, we've still got a little bit more time to go before we see this actually. Maybe we see this pick up around noon today, and if we're lucky, we'll see it actually squeeze up into the close, and we'll see stocks close down fairly weak on the session. But we'll see how that plays out. Overall, still a bullish pattern in the US dollar index. It's important to know that the trend is up there, and you don't really want to be fighting it and trying to pick a top at this time. Looking at commodities, here is the crude oil chart. Commodities are trading higher, same with equities this morning, because the US dollar has been pulling back the last 12 hours. You can see it's a 4-hour chart, so the last three candlesticks pretty much show the pullback in the US dollar, how it's started to help lift crude oil up. Now if I zoom out just so you can get the big picture of crude oil, you can see we've come down into major weekly support, came into daily support, weekly support, there's the blue box, and it's trying to form a base here. It's starting to move back up, but overall I'm not a fan of this price action just quite yet. It's still trying to build a base, and I think we still might see it chop around for a little bit more before it actually breaks out and starts to make a run, possibly to this 100 level, which is a century number, whole number. A lot of people will have sell orders put in there, and of course it's also this pivot low and the breakdown level, which will act as resistance also. Looking at natural gas, it's trading slightly higher today, more or less flat. It was higher a couple minutes ago. Now it's back down to more or less flat. Zooming out a little bit, you can just see the basing pattern is trying to form. Possible cup and handle, inverse head and shoulders pattern. Anyways, the line in the sand here, you can see it's been piercing it and selling back below it, chopping through there. And overall, the longer it trades sideways here, the more bullish it is. And what I would like to see is a nice controlled, more or less, bull flag. The longer it can go, if it could pull back a little bit more and then start a breakout, that would be more bullish. I think starting to run from here. This price action was just a little too choppy. We had a couple big downdrafts, and we really need to see that volume kind of support level build here. So the longer it trades here, the more support it's going to build at this level, meaning that once it starts to run, if it does pull back, it will naturally find some support here as opposed to just collapsing and falling right back down just like we saw back here. Looking at the gold chart, it's the 4-hour chart of gold. We're seeing gold have a nice little squeeze up this morning. Gold and silver are trading higher by about 1%. Looking at the chart, we both know that gold is still in a downtrend. Look at the downward trend lines. You can draw even tighter ones where we are. If you draw the tighter ones there, it's likely gold will probably reverse back down. Overall, still in a downtrend. It is a little oversold. Pointed that out yesterday. We had that 5-wave correction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Came right down into support, and we did get that little bounce I pointed out to. The question is, can it break out of this level here and start to build a base and possibly make a move higher? And this would be more or less a larger double bottom in the market. But overall, everything is still in a downtrend, and I'm not looking to try and pick a bottom, especially with the US dollar on the verge of a strong rally, because if we see the dollar rally, we could see gold and silver plummet pretty far still. Looking at gold miners, really not a whole lot going on there. They're oversold, having a little bit of a bounce. They'll obviously open a little bit higher today. Equities are trading up in pre-market. Gold's up, so we'll see them bounce back up. Again, the key level here, just for short term, there's going to be some resistance right through this cluster, right through here. And of course, there's a couple candles with some big ranges right there. And usually, once you break down through these levels, you'll come back up. And a lot of times, you'll just end up heading right back down again shortly after. But overall, we've got kind of a downward trend line. There is potential for it to work its way back up even to this level, and then from there possibly roll over. But overall, I don't see a setup right now. I just see a possible small bounce or pause in the overall equities market, and we really need to see if the market can grab some traction here and how the next couple intraday days play out with volume and sentiment. And if it shows some strength, then could actually get a pretty nice bounce, and we may be looking to reverse a positioning and actually get long. But overall, the trend is down, and sentiment remains in favor for our position. A lot of people are trying to pick a bottom here, and if we don't see a bounce in the equities market, it's just going to trade sideways and give way and head lower, which is on the SP 500 chart I'll show you. But looking at silver, here is the silver chart. Much similar to gold. Of course, you connect these tops, you can see silver's kind of broken above that level. We had that 5-wave correction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Had a little bit of a break, starting to move up. This little pattern here, in my opinion, it's not really anything that's documented, but I consider this little pattern to be bearish. You get a strong handle going up, you get a little bit of a pattern, and then it's kind of like a little torch. It holds a little torch with a little flame. It's got a reversal candle. We are up at resistance, which that resistance carries right through. Anyways, usually you see that little pattern, and then you'll see a sharp move right back down. Happens over and over again in a lot of patterns. So a lot of different investments. Anyways, overall, silver's still down, lower lows. It is bouncing down along some pretty key support, but if the support level is broken, we're going to see silver fall several dollars to the downside, and we may be looking to take advantage of that depending how the charts unfold here. Looking at bonds continue to kind of grind their way higher. We haven't really seen the market break down through that key support level. This is the key trading box that we've seen bonds trade in. The next level here, which we've been watching it just kind of march its way up there. We're getting close to the upper end of that box. Got a nice nice little kind of grind higher, which is very sustainable. When it does reverse, though, the longer something goes like this without a pullback, the sharper the pullback will be. But right now it's making a nice march up into these highs, and we pretty much came right up to this level right here, which is going to be acting as a little bit of resistance. You can see it spiked up the previous day, came back down. Now it's eating through that level, but overall it's working its way up. I would expect if we get up a little bit higher, then we could actually see bonds pull back for a pretty quick dip, at least down to support, right back down to this this level here. Looking at the SP 500 daily chart to get a feel for the big picture, you can see this is where we had our shorting opportunity. We took it, hit our had a first big gap to the downside, took some money off the table, came down, hit our key moving averages, which was our measured move originally, which was also our support trend line. And now we're flirting with this support trend line, trying to see if the market can grab some stability. We are under the key moving averages, the 5, 14, and 20. We're right at this trend line. Overall, the big picture for the SP 500 is down. And if we could end up seeing a little bit of a bounce, we might even see it drift back up a little bit into resistance, which will be these previous pivot highs right here. And the previous kind of spike high might shake us out of our play, but if it does go up there and we do get a proper volume setup and pattern setup on these shorter term charts, then we'll be looking for the next big leg to the downside, which could be fairly substantial. Looking at the intraday charts, you can see what happened in between now and the closing yesterday. This is the last few trading sessions. And just to kind of clear things up, this is where we ended up shorting it. We had we shorted it right here late in the day last Thursday. You can see it's just been kind of stair-stepping its way down, and we're getting a little oversold. We've had multiple waves to the downside. Still, we're under previous key resistance, which is just through this last consolidation, and we've got our stop set just above the previous day's high, somewhere right around here. And overall, if with any luck, we'll see it continue lower today with the US dollar ready to make another run to the upside. And of course, we finished the week very weak for the week. It's tough to fit all those candles in, all those weekly things. Anyways, we finished on the weekly chart way down at new lows, and it would be pretty bearish for the market, meaning that we could see a big gap down on Monday, and we could see the US dollar, because if this happens, the US dollar would likely close up at near the highs or new highs, and of course it would run higher and open much sharper to the upside on Monday. Anyways, that's it for this morning, and I will talk to you a little bit. Bye bye.